So the first thing you're going to want to do is, before you start drilling any holes, is you're going to set up some reference points. So that way you know where to drill out. You and the technician will be communicating about where everything's going to need to go once you know which wall you're going to put it on. You may have a power outlet on that wall. Most of the time you will. And you can just reference off of that power outlet. Just kind of hold your measure at about the center of the wall. And then you know anywhere within a 15-inch hole here, or space, that you have a hollow cavity that it's safe for you to drill in. And then you can, and then the other thing you're going to do is match the outlets that are in your house. So if you have an outlet right here, you're going to want to drill your hole in the center of that, so that way you can keep the aesthetics of the wall the same by making sure the outlet is placed at the same level as all your other power outlets in your house. If you do not have a reference point with a power outlet, you can use a stud finder, set it on the wall, sometimes your studs are going to hide from you apparently. So once you find your stud, you can mark that point on the wall and then measure over, and you know anywhere within a 15-inch area of that wall, or from where that point where the stud finder indicated there's a stud, you have a hollow cavity here, and it's going to be safe for you to drill out. Okay, so your installer should have dropped you off a package. It's something like this. This is going to be our O&T. He's already going to attach the fiber optic cable to the piece of equipment. You're going to bring it in. You'll need to take the tape holding the coil off. You're going to take the piece of equipment and set it wherever you want it in the room that it's going into, and make sure you don't have any tangles in the fiber. They usually uncoil fairly easily. They just kind of spring out of place. The technician would have already taped a rod or a flag, is what we call them quite often, and that's what you're going to use to send through the hole. It just makes it easier to get the fiber through the hole. It's just taped on the end here. So after you've located the area that you want to drill, you're going to use your drill bit. You're going to go in the center. You try and stay at the level of your outlets in your house for aesthetics. You're going to drill your hole through. So that first pop there that was me just going into the wall cavity. You have an open space. Sometimes you may feel a little bounce back. That's going to be the insulation in the wall kind of pushing back against your drill bit. Just a big fluff of foam back there. Now the next wall that I'm hitting is going to be the outside siding. So we're going to drill through that. You're not going to want to put too much forward pressure. You want to let it go through easily, so that way you don't tear the outside of the wall as the drill bit goes through. Feel it pop through. Once you're done, go ahead and keep the drill bit spinning for a minute. Go in a little bit further. You'll want to pull it in and out a few times just to make sure you kind of clean the hole up. Sometimes you're going to get a little bit of insulation wrapped around the drill bit, so just kind of pull that out, and your hole to the outside is complete. Alright, so your technician would have dropped off what we call a remodel box. This is what you're going to use to attach the wall plate to. You take the flat surface and press it up against the wall, put the hole kind of in the center of it, the hole that you drilled. You're going to want to have it pretty level. There's actually 4 holes in each corner. A mechanical pencil where you can press out the lead, or a fine tip Sharpie is great for marking these little circles. And then once you do that, you can use the same plate to connect the dots. So after you do that, if you have this type of saw, these are drywall saws, they're the easiest to use. So just go into one of your dots, and you'll just push it through the drywall and just kind of wiggle and put some force down into it until it goes through. And you're just going to saw on that line. Grab a piece of drywall, pull it out. Now you have a hole cut in. The next thing you're going to do is grab that same remodel box, and it's got these little tabs on the inside. You may need to take a screwdriver and open them up. What happens on the inside of the wall is that tab actually locks on to the inside of the wall, and that's what holds it in place. I'm going to lift the tab out of the way on the bottom. The top one's going to fall down. Set it inside the wall. And take that tab, push it down. You just tighten the first screw until you feel it clamp down around the drywall. Then you go up to the top one. Make sure that tab flips upwards. And that's all for putting in the remodel box. So your installer would have dropped off a black fiber optic cable, and it's going to have this metal rod attached to it at the end. It would be taped on, and then you have this green end here. This piece is going to stay inside the house where the green end is. This metal rod you're going to use to push through the hole to the outside to your technician, and he's going to pull that fiber through until most of that cable is outside. So you're just going to let him pull everything out until you just have a few inches left here inside the room. The next thing you're going to do is, the technician would have also given you a wall plate and a bulkhead. You're going to take this bulkhead and open it. And you're going to take your wall plate on the back of your wall plate. You're going to have an out arrow that says up. So that's the part that's going to be facing the ceiling. You're going to take your bulkhead and you're going to snap it into place on the back side. So it's going to go that direction. You're going to push it into the back side of the wall plate. There's a black cover on the back. Some of them are a clear or white cover. You're going to pull that off. You're going to take the end of the fiber. There's a protective cap on here. Being careful once you take this cap off not to touch this fiber optic cable on the tip that it's being protected by this cap. Pull that cap off. You're going to plug it into the back of the bulkhead. Most of the time you're going to hear a snap or a click. And then you're going to take that, very gently push it up into the wall here, and the package comes with the screws. They're a standard screwdriver bit, and you're just going to screw that to the wall. While you're doing this, the technician's going to be outside running that black fiber optic cable to the transition housing that's been mounted on the outside of your house. All right, so once you've got your wall plate installed, the technician would have left you an ONT with the fiber jumper already attached, and the power cable is going to be attached. You'll take and put your piece of equipment on your shelf or desk or wherever you're going to have it. And you take the end of your fiber, and your wall jack has a protective cap in it. Take off the cap, remove the cap from the fiber jumper, making sure not to touch the center of the fiber. You're going to have a little tab up here on the top of the jumper, and the wall plate actually has a tab cut out on the inside. You line those up. You're going to plug that in, and that's pretty much going to complete the inside install for you. Once they're ready, everything's complete outside. They're going to instruct you to power the ONT, and from there you're going to connect your router as necessary. Okay, so once you've got the fiber and everything installed, you have your ONT that the technician had originally given you. Your internet is going to come off. If you look at the back side of it, you have ports 1, 2, 3, and 4. You're going to use port 1. You're going to plug your Cat 5 cable in to the ONT. And you're going to take your router, and you're going to have a port on the back that's your Ethernet. Some are yellow, some are blue. And you're going to plug the end of the Cat 5 cable into there and power up your router. So if you have an old existing router that you've already been using with the previous service, once it's plugged in, everything should work just fine. If you've purchased a new router, the technician can help you after you get everything plugged in and powered up. The technician can actually help you set it up from outside. And then that should, once all that's done, that should complete the install for you.